All right. I think we're going to have a friend join us here tonight.
Hey,
We did it.
we did it. Oh, I'm so close up here. Okay.
So, yes, hello everyone who's tuning in to Brittany and I. I'll let Brittany start because we are hosted
Hi.
today by One Zen Wellness.
Hi, my name is Brittany Simmons, and I'm the owner of One Zen Wellness. It's a new yoga and wellness studio in Long Beach, Mississippi. And we're located in a building called The Columns, and we're inside this building in Suite 104. So we'll have the address and all the information available, but it's a nice, quaint little area. Let me show you my studio. So I'm turning to the side
Yeah.
and around. It's a nice, soft, calm vibe. We just finished a stretch and relax class. So, yeah.
So you're very relaxed right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have a workshop coming, a yoga workshop coming up this not this weekend, but the following. And I'm really excited about. It's called Beyond the Mat, a weekend yoga immersion into practice and philosophy. So we're here today to kind of cover that a little bit and go over what is going to be offered at Brittany Studio. And thank you, for having me. It's exciting.
Yes, it's an honor. This is the first time that we will be offering continuing education here and having someone with a lot of experience teach us here. I'm just really excited to have you and learn from you. Even though I got my 300 hour
She did.
with you, I'm
Yeah,
just excited to see you and learn from you
yeah,
again.
yeah. Brittany has been teaching now for a while and has her studio, but it's an ongoing thing. Hopefully, we're always learning more and doing more trainings and workshops to stay current, especially when you're working with the body, the human body and the mind. It's an ongoing thing. It's never like, it doesn't matter if you have however many hours you have, it's just like a lifelong diving deep into the practice. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the workshop. And Britt, if you have any, want to add anything, please do. Um, First of all, I'll let you guys know about the name. Well, Brittany told me a little bit of what she wanted for the community and what she kind of had her vision and what she had in mind. And based on what she sort of, asked for, I developed this specifically for your studio. And I'm really excited because I've actually never taught this workshop in particular before. So, this is also something that's it feels like sort of like an evolution of my work to teach this. So I'm excited. So Beyond the Mat is because we wanted to do something that had that really kind of showcased the technique of how Brittany teaches and we teach very similarly because we come from the same sort of yoga asana, which is, if anybody's listening doesn't know, postures sequencing background. So we definitely wanted to showcase that because it is very unique and I really believe in it. I for one, have been teaching that style for probably like 20 plus years, and I haven't come across something I just really, yeah, better. I mean, I really believe in it. And I'm sure there's other great styles of yoga, but this one, I have seen it work firsthand with literally like thousands of students. So we wanted to show that, and that's very based on anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, and all of that. And I'll get more into it. And then the second part of the training, the workshop, is the philosophy, is the off the mat part, which is very much subtle body, philosophy, how to live your life, how to just kind of bring that yoga. Why are we doing yoga, right? We do all this practice on the mat, and that's beautiful. And the body is a body temple. It's a vehicle of the soul and of the spirit, but it needs to work well with our joints and muscles and posture. So we do address that. But then there's that other side, right? Now that we have that, how can we take that beyond the mat into other aspects of her life, because really that is yoga. And if you talk to most people that have been doing yoga for a long time, or at least a certain amount of time, they will tell you that yoga somehow has changed their life for the better. And so that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of the beauty. So this workshop, Beyond the Mat, is really going, it's an immersion. We're there for a weekend, and that's something that Brittany wanted. And it gives you a feeling of sort of going into like a yoga retreat or a yoga teacher training, but just for that condensed, and in this case is Saturday and Sunday. So we start the days with a yoga practice, and we're going to teach, I will be teaching the method that I was talking about that we do, very much based on alignment, anatomy, kinesiology principles, intelligent yoga sequencing, adding and coupling to that, teaching the breath, which is pranayama, accessing access to the subtle body with the physical practice. This is what makes it yoga. And pranayama, drishti, sort of those gates to pratyahara, which is turning the senses inward. And that's really sort of bringing you to the other eight limbs of yoga, not just yamas, niyama. We have asana, which is the first three, but then kind of moving into the other ones, which is more of that spiritual practice, the evolution of the soul. So the idea is that we start both days with a physical practice, and we really kind of go into our method and explain sort of as you're doing it. And so you're embodying the practice and experience it. You're sort of feeling in yourself how that feels. Then we have a little break, and then we come back in the afternoon for sort of a workshop philosophy session. So the afternoon of Saturday is when Brittany will be there too, which is great because she's, like she said, she's been teaching for a while. She's a graduate of the program. So between her and I, will really kind of dive into the sequence. I'll do a presentation on that, why we group postures a certain way, anatomically how they make sense, kinesiology wise how they make sense, why we do things this way, right, in the method that we teach. And so we will literally, if you're who is this for? Yoga teachers, people have been practicing for a long time, so you'll really understand intelligent sequencing. Poses are not just sort of thrown together. I like to think of like, if you're cooking, you don't just throw every ingredient without knowing what you're doing. There's a reason why, right? When you're baking a cake, or when you're doing whatever it is, pasta, that you're putting certain ingredients a certain way. If you talk to chefs, they know exactly why they're using what. And I like to think of a yoga class, a yoga experience, a yoga sequence just like that. We add an ingredient, their transitions are there for a reason or not. Music is there for a reason or not. Silence, right? As long as it's intentional. How I practice and with my body, and as we move our students through the practice, is very important. We both, and I think Brittany agrees with this, we see yoga as a lifelong practice and as a healing art. So in our method, is not so much about performing. Now, don't get me wrong. In a flow vinyasa class, it's strong, right? You're gonna work. You're gonna hold plank. You're gonna do the things, and we have modification for everything. That's part of what we're gonna cover on Saturday. How everybody can access a yoga pose. Postures are just a blueprint. There's no like, it should look like this. That's just a myth. How can you find the pose in your body? Every individual can. Whether you're using the wall or a chair, or you're in the middle of the room in handstand, or whatever it is that you're doing, it's the same blueprint. It's how can we find that? So the way we teach in our method is to empower the yoga teacher, right? Which is sort of you yoga teacher, you are the authority in the room. And how can we empower you teachers to guide your students so that they can find their way through the practice? So it's more like finding a blueprint, and it's not like this is how it looks like and what we should do. And I've been teaching this method now for over 20 years. And I should say, to give credit, my first yoga teacher that really sort of taught me that way, made me start thinking about it this way, was really the late Mati Israti, who started Yoga Works, for some of you who know. And she was my teacher for many years. And from there, I worked with some other amazing teachers, who also are very influential, like Annie Carpenter. But Annie worked with Mati and Lisa Walford and so on. But I mean, that what I'm trying to say, it's like we've tested this. It's been
Mhm.
around for a really long time. And so then we teach all that in the afternoon on Saturday. The next day we come back, and now you're going to know sort of like already what happens while we're doing that. And you're going to get to experience that on your mat. That's the beauty of it. And as I'm guiding you through the practice on Sunday, which is the first thing you do, right? Again, embodying it and really understanding, oh, what she said yesterday, this is why we're doing that, and this is how. So it's sort of like so cool. And I always hear people say, and I've been through it as a student too, like you get all the theory and then you get to kind of put it in your body, your breath,
Mhm.
your drishti,
It
your
makes so
dharana,
much
and you
sense.
embody it, right?
Mhm.
Then we have a little break. When we come back from our break, that last afternoon of the immersion on Sunday, we get to sort of like integrate everything together because the afternoon is philosophy. So
Mhm.
we go through the 8 limbs of yoga: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And we'll all
Mhm.
go through that. Yoga is not a religion. Yoga is open to everyone, no matter
Mhm.
what religion you are, or just, spiritual, maybe no religion. Whatever it is that you believe in, love, nature, whatever it is, or a religion, yoga just brings you into like a more connection to who you are, the self with a capital S, which is in yoga we believe is
Mhm.
eternal. We also believe that there's something more than this physical body. So what is that? It's an exploration, but it sort of like deepens your belief system no matter what you are and who you are, what you follow. So I believe, and I think you'd agree with that, it makes you a better human.
Mhm.
And when you are a better human, what happens? You're better to everyone in your life and you're better to planet Earth. But it starts
Mhm.
with you. I
Mhm.
always say, first you got to put the oxygen mask in you,
Mhm.
then in everybody else. So
Mhm.
the 8 limbs of yoga is just sort of what we're going to do is look at it and integrate it in modern life. We're in 2026. How does this ancient philosophy of thousands of years relate to where we are now? So we'll
Mhm.
look at it. We'll look at it together and we're going to workshop it. And there's going to be some
Mhm.
journaling questions and there's going to be some group interaction and hopefully conversations. And I mean, and that's very important because I'm not like telling you how to think. This we just, and neither is Brittany, like we're going to bring concepts up and we can all share
That's fun.
our,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like share
Mhm.
our
Yeah.
perspectives. Everyone
Yeah.
can have their own perspective. And the beauty of it is when you see how each person is understanding, there's no wrong or right? It is
Mhm.
ultimately it's your journey of the self, through the self, to the self, whatever you want to call samadhi eventually, maybe. But, the 8 limbs of yoga is just a beautiful philosophy. So we're going to really break it down on Sunday afternoon. And
Mhm.
hopefully with that closing, everything comes together and it makes,
Mhm.
sort of like uh, what I'm trying to say, like a higher sense, like a bigger sense of like bigger picture of like, why do we do this practice and why is
Right.
it so important? Lastly, I just want to say this. One of the key words is practice, because that's even in our title, practice. Because if we just have this as theory, if we just have this as like, oh, this is so beautiful, but it's sort of like out there. It doesn't work. What makes yoga work is the practice. So
Mhm.
we'll look at that this weekend, but whether it's the practice of meditation or pranayama breath work or getting on your yoga mat or whatever
Mhm.
sadhana, devotional practice you have in the morning, middle of the, it doesn't even matter. I'm getting to a point in
Mhm.
my life that like, it doesn't matter when you do it. Some people say,
Yeah.
do it at this time, do it. It's like, it doesn't matter as long as you have it
Mhm. Yeah.
and as long as you have a devotion, right, to something
Mhm.
higher than yourself. For some people, spending time in nature, going in the ocean, the river, the mountains, spending time with your dog, your child, whatever it is that rocks yourself. Maybe you're on a journey solo, but that is like when we integrate. But anyways, practicing is important. So coming back to the Saturday version of the training is embodying the practice in the vehicle, which is your body, your mind, your spirit. It is important. We cannot bypass that because your spirit resides in this body temple. right now. And
Mhm.
in this lifetime, it's the only one we have, as we know.
Mhm.
You know, I
Yeah.
always say we don't know. Maybe there's, maybe some people know of like 10 past lives or whatever. But even then, right now in the present moment, this is the one you have. So take care of it, sleep well, drink great water, eat good food. That's fuel for your body and your soul, right? The company you keep, all of it. The eight limbs of yoga, it's a beautiful path. It kind of like everything is in there. And then yoga
Mhm.
works. That's it.
Yeah.
So I'll just turn it to you now. But that's pretty much
Yeah.
in a nutshell our weekend. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I'm already inspired again. I just love talking to you. Um, so you mentioned that Saturday is a lot about alignment and helping teachers understand how to sequence classes.
Hmm.
So for someone who's not a yoga teacher, could they or should they come to this
Yeah,
workshop
no, for
and
sure.
what
And
would
that's what
they
no, I
get
get your
from it?
question for sure. And 100%. And here's why. If you're a yoga practitioner, right? Even if you don't want to, why is it that, and this is something that's always kind of bugged me in a weird way, because like if you want to go deeper into the practice and learn like the correct way to, alignment and posture and kind of like dive a little bit deeper than just going to a class in and out, do you have to always join a yoga teacher training? I mean,
Mhm.
some people don't want to do that, for
Mhm.
whatever reason. But I don't know. I know me, like I'm learning the harmonium now. I want to know everything about it. Like, and I think if you learn like the sort of like, like you learn really profoundly right from the beginning, it will avoid you getting into some kind of not so great habits. So for a yoga practitioner, someone who's starting, this is great. You're going to already sort of see like behind the veil how teachers work, what you're looking for in classes, what you're looking for to
Mhm.
not hurt your body, what you're looking for to go
Mhm.
deeper in your practice. I mean, it's all there, whether you're a
Mhm.
teacher or, I mean, I have people who I have worked with who I've taught all this privately or however, and they're not yoga teachers, they're
Mhm.
like bankers or carpenters or whatever,
Mhm.
but they just have been practicing yoga for a long time. And they're like, look, I want to know this like the right way. I want to kind of see
Mhm.
the anatomy of it, even if that's all you do
Mhm.
one weekend. But I think it's for
Mhm.
everybody. Yeah.
I do too. I went to a yoga teacher training, like a prep workshop, kind of like what we're doing,
Yeah.
and with zero intention of ever teaching yoga. I already had a full-time job, but I loved practicing yoga, and it got me so excited. I felt so much better every
Hmm.
time I would go to a yoga class. Whenever I would leave, I felt like a million bucks, like a breath of fresh air, just like this weight off my shoulders. And I just got so inspired. I was like, I want to teach other people to be able to feel this way too. And even if I don't become a teacher, I now can like teach myself if I have
Hmm.
a home practice. Like I can continue from all the things that I've learned now. I
Yeah.
can improve my home practice even.
Oh yeah. And then
Mhm.
have tools for like what if you go to a class like some people travel a lot. Sometimes in my life I'm traveling, you go to a studio and
Mhm.
maybe there's something that the teacher's not doing, especially if you're a drop in and you don't really know the teacher, meaning they're not really, with you for a year, for two, they don't know your body. Maybe they're teaching something that's not that beneficial for you. And
Mhm.
you can learn the tools through going to an immersion workshop like this of how to back away from it. What can you do if a posture or a transition or a part of this yoga class doesn't feel right for your body on this day? Because we know it's always
Mhm.
changing. So we'll go into that, but not only modifications, but here's a couple of little tips. Like you can take child's pose and not do it for, 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes, whatever. You can just sit in rest asana and just keep your
Mhm.
pranayama. I do teach that. Stay with the breath. As
Yeah.
long as you're with the breath, you're still in your practice. You can stay calm, sort of a meditation pause. You don't have to do everything that the teacher is saying. You can take a longer downward facing dog if you want to build some strength, but
Mhm.
you don't want to do that transition. You can hold plank if you don't want to do chaturanga. So, I think learning all of those tips right from the
Mhm.
beginning could set you up for like a very different sort of long, journey of like practicing
Yeah.
with
Well,
good
I'm
habits.
excited to have you here
Thank you.
and have your energy here. And we already have, a little group of people that are signed up for it. So
Yeah.
it's already going to be great energy here.
Well,
But
thank
if,
you. I'll send you the link and maybe we can, however we do this, I can't remember exactly how to work this and we were trying to
yeah.
figure it out, but we'll add the link on the comments. And if anybody wants to come, it's January 17th and 18th and it's starts at 12 and you'll see
Mhm.
all the information on the link. And we would love to have you no matter what level you are. That's the beauty of it. I love having students of all levels in the room because of this reason. It shows you that you can do it. Like anybody can do it, like we were saying, as long as there's a will, there's a way. Like you can do it with a chair, you can do it with a block, you can do it against a wall, you can skip things. And how great it is to have a group of people that is different, and we're celebrating diversity, and everybody can see how the practice is so beneficial for everyone. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to look like it. And by the way, everyone is having a deep experience,
Mhm.
Everyone in their own way is having, the most important thing I would say once you're like on the mat doing a hatha yoga, which is like the physical practice, right? Like anything that involves like yoga poses. The most important thing is the breath.
Yeah.
So the body is just, the postures are just creating different maps for the
Mhm.
breath, the prana, the life force, which is the flow, to sort of go to different areas. So that activates the subtle body. So unblocking, letting go of things that doesn't serve you anymore, healing trauma, just all the somatic experience that yoga offers. So whether you're like crazy physically advanced or you're like, doesn't matter, like maybe somebody had an injury or that's just
Mhm.
how they are using a chair, that is like very sort of doesn't matter that much.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's how you show up in terms of your presence, your breath, your drishti, all the tools that we're going to teach you how to activate the subtle body. So the practice is active. In fact, some students who are, what quote unquote one could say, I don't even use that term anymore in teacher trainings, but let's say beginners in asana, beginners in
Mhm.
postures, are actually much more advanced in the
Mhm.
global perspective, because if
Mhm.
if they are more present and they're more intentional in their, when they come to their mat or their daily practice or however
Mhm.
many times they're doing the practice, that is an advanced practitioner.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
love that. Well,
Yeah. Well,
wonderful.
thank you. Namaste, and I will see you soon.
Namaste. All right. Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening, and have a good night wherever you are. And also, if you want to hear more things like that, we have the podcast, Life on Earth podcast, which is
Yeah.
on my page. And if you somehow find it, Life on Earth podcast, I've interviewed so many yoga teachers. We have hundreds of hours, like maybe like almost 200 hour interviews, and
Yeah.
diving deep into, yoga practice, philosophy, healthy living, all that. So
I
thank you.
love it. All
Thanks,
right.
Brittany.
Bye.
Bye. See you soon.